Welcome to this best of 9 series between the red Terran player in the top right, Cure, and the blue Zerg in the bottom left, Dark, as we have two teammates, both from Dragon Phoenix Gaming, playing this best of 9 show match put on by Alpha X. Alpha X continuing to put on a whole load of great StarCraft and so many great replays for us to then be able to dive into, basically. So, this is a best of 9. I'm just going to give you guys a little heads up that this is apparently a very long series. I don't know the result of it. I don't know how it plays out. I don't know the score. I was just told when I got the replays, generally asked like, oh, was it a good match or something? You know, it's definitely worth checking out. And they said it's a long one. So all I know is it's long and it's a best of 9. It could be real long. So I'm just going to give you all a heads up if you're watching this on YouTube. This might go out in 2 separate videos. I'm not going to make that call until after we... Until after I've casted the whole thing. I'm not going to make it up halfway through, unless maybe it's like 2-2 and it's already been long. But just a heads up, this might be cut into 2 different videos. So a little heads up for you all. If you're watching on YouTube, of course, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget you can subscribe as well. I am casting this one live on Twitch because I didn't have a stream for today otherwise. But obviously, you know, intentions to upload to YouTube. You guys can obviously, you know, we can tell you guys to do the little like and subscribe dance as we set this up. So Ice and Chrome, our first map already. Hatch, Gas, and Pool. A Rax in the main base. I wouldn't say anything particularly out of the ordinary to begin with here, as we do have this Reaper starting up, and SCV comes through and is going to get ready to build a command center in the natural expansion. So we'll get that command center started. As again, the Hatch, the Gas, the Pool, all the standard stuff. So what I want to talk about is Ice and Crow, right? This is a very large map, and we do see a tendency from Terran players to maybe play mech on this map rather than playing bio. So we have seen a lot more mech on this. We'll see if QA goes for that. I mean, first game of a best of 9, lots of room to adventure around. And I wouldn't put it past QA to play mech. He absolutely has played mech in the past when necessary. So very excited to see how this one is going to be playing out, as this Reaper is going to head down the bottom left-hand side. Queen is about halfway done. Couple of queens coming through. And just going to be seeing a third hatchery from Dark up on that left. We see a few lings coming in as well, and that Reaper does get chased away. So that Reaper getting chased back pretty much immediately here, as we're just going to be seeing our lings continue to fight. And, I mean, honestly, Reaper not doing so badly as the Queen pushes this Reaper again out through the front. Another Queen building on this natural expansion. So all of this setting up as we're going to be seeing 3 CCs from Q. No surprise, nice large map. First game of a series. Definitely room to go 3 CC into play a rather kind of macro-focused style this time around. As the Reaper just out the front here trying to see what's going on. Link speed is on the way up on the spawning pools. Again, that link speed up and running. And just going to be having everything still looking fairly normal here. And best of 9s are crazy as well, by the way, because they are just these kind of series where you're like, well, you know, so much can happen. It gives you so much room for experiment. The only thing I'm scared of in a best of 9 is that someone starts going 3-4-0 up, because then it just feels like, you know, it already feels impossible to come back from 3-0 down in a best of 7. What if you're 4-0 down in a best of 9, right? It seems terrifying. As I also want to bring up, the only time that these two players have played this year has been in the Kung Fu Cup Weekly, and it was actually in the first ever Kung Fu Cup of the year, way back in January. And that was actually a really cool series that Cure came out in 2-1. I think that one's even on my YouTube if you want to go adventuring back and looking for a great TVZ series. I guess I just spoiled the result, but those were really cool games. Cure put on a lot of great pressure. I think it was a lot of bio back then, if I'm remembering correctly as well. And it really was just a fantastic effort. Before then, Dark really had his number all of last year. I think it would be fair to mention, though, that Dark has been a little bit less impressive as of late. And that's simply because it's not really oh, he's just not good anymore. I think he's just got a bit of an injury. I know he mentioned his wrists a couple of times, and maybe that's affecting his practice a little bit. But he definitely hasn't quite been that super terrifying Dark that we've known, in the last few years. Which is kind of crazy. Now, he's still in GSL, etc. He did get knocked down in a GSL qualifier by Tasia. Of course, they played some fantastic series as of late, too. So, again, I don't want to be just, I'm not making an excuse for Dark or anything. I'm just saying, like, Dark is not quite the 100% complete beast that he's been lately. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stop him today in this series. As this Hellion drop, a bit of a unique way to open from Cure. finds 3 workers pretty much from the start, and just going to be seeing this Liberator now moving out through the top side, with a couple of engineering bays on the back of the natural expansion, a couple of racks into the main. I'm just going to be seeing the reactors continuing up here. So we do have Hellions picking up a few more creep tumor kills. So they're going to be able to get a little bit more done then, as this Liberator all the way around this far left-hand side is going to look to get down the left and siege up onto this mineral line in the next few moments. So Liberator coming in for a little bit of hot action. This Queen will have to back away. Spore is going to relocate. Pretty good defense from Dog. I think that drone did just sneak into Liberator range, but Spore and the Queen efforts are just not enough. I mean, okay, this Liberator is super low, but it can obviously just sit here. Oh, no, it can't. It gets killed off. I was going to say, even if you just sit it there, it's still a pressure point on the map, right? Something that Dark has to think about, have something in position to defend. Yeah, it's one of those things you got to keep in mind, but getting rid of it, it goes down. I don't think Q will be super sad either. Again, it's not like it's likely to kill like 5 more drones. It's just maybe going to keep a Queen in position or a little bit out of position every so often. So, not really great or terrible on either side. As we do see 1-1 upgrade Stimpack continuing through. Now, as our lane moves forward here, we see Dark already on his way to a Bane Nest. He did opt for melee upgrades early, which means he's going to be on a later Bane speed. He's going to be on a later Lair Tech. And that can make these first pushes a little bit scary, but the fact he's going to have melee well before 1-1 of the Terran player makes me kind of believe. I think the scariest part of this might be the 1-1 combat shield attack. That's when Kira's going to have equal upgrades, but there's still not going to be Baneling speed on the map, and Dark is somewhat going to be banking for Mutalisks. And that's definitely the scariest moment in the next 30 to 40 seconds or so out of Cure here. So if you can do something like that, well, that could be great. I mean, you still got the Hellions alive from earlier too. You've got to make a decision with those, whether you kind of leave them on the third base to defend a run-by, or if you bring them across the map to help the army, which can be very useful, but then you do risk the run-by hitting the third, and you don't have anything at home to hold it off. So we'll see exactly how Cure approaches this. The second tank about to pop, and if there is going to be a go time for Cure anytime soon, it's going to be alongside that second tank, because then the upgrades are going to be finishing in all the rest. And so far, he's just been dueling to try and get rid of this creep spread, but Dark has been very persistent at pushing this creep spread forward, at keeping it in the front. He's been very good at getting it into the center of the map, so good effort there by Dark, able to push that creep all the way through the middle of the map, and just really, again, keep it alive for the moment. There's a few Lings come in to pick off a Reaper off to the left, and Marine Tank Hellbat is pushing onto the creep spread right about now, so here we go. Pushing straight onto the creep. First tank will start a siege, and it's going to be a scan as a lot of these creep teamers will begin to fall. So a lot of creep teamers already going down here, as we see. Again, a couple of them getting picked away at. A lot of Lings from Dark are going to go out across to the upper right side. The Marines sitting there, they accidentally attacked the SCV momentarily. There's just got our Queens continuing through. A couple of tanks joining up together as well, and just still seeing a few extra Banelings setting up in the center of the map. You're going to see, well, I mean, that's a surround, isn't it? These Banes are going to get in. It kind of abandons the tanks and the Hellbats, I guess, the units that can sort of survive a couple more Bane shots. And that was pretty sick, considering there's no Bane speed. That was one of the few ways Dark might have won a fight. And he actually wins it very nicely, taking down a lot of the splash damage, a lot of the key units. And when you're only left with Marines, well, that seems okay. But then once there's Banelings with speed, which is the case now, it's going to be way more difficult to get anything done with these Marines. And obviously, these creep tumors are actually going to survive that. Tank on the high ground, a good position to push the Ling Bane back. And still just seeing some Marines continue to join up together in the center. And another hatchery on the bottom side from Dark, so setting up over there. As you see a good amount of overlords just chilling over there, just wondering what this little cluster was, but that's apparently just where Dark watches out for all the medevacs coming in. So we are going to be having, again, this Marine tank army still pressuring. And I guess worth mentioning, I know this is very late to mention, but obviously it is bio and not mech, so that's a decision Q made. And he is playing it pretty well. I like that he's been able to keep the pressure up, really coming through the middle of the map and staying in this direction. He's really kept the creep spread right, like here, which really gives him the chance to maybe at some point get forward into this choke point control and really start pushing this base over in this direction. That would be the goal here, I imagine, for the bio player. Is Kira is on 2 factories. He is not looking to just all in with, you know, Marines and tanks. And as he backs away right now, ooh, good split away. I mean, the Banes can't continue to chase off creep. This missile turret will stop the meters doing any more, but they got a refinery and multiple depots, so they've not done bad in the background of this fight happening. Kira not really sending anything over to deal with that. He does leave a few Marines in the main, which is, of course, the smart choice, just in case these mutas take a turn and fly into that main base. As our Marine tank army continues down the bottom left-hand side. A few extra Banes morphing in, a few millimeters on the way out. Drilling Claws is about to finish up. We're going to be seeing Kua coming through, picking off a couple of Creep Tumors already. As our Ling Bane continues in, Middle is showing up, picking off a Medevac right away, and the rest of these Marines going to split backwards. So they're going to split back pretty much straight away. Here's the rest of these Banes are going down. And that's 42 more Lings continuing in production. Everything else from Kua gathers back up is going to be seeing 3-3 upgrades coming through. A couple of Widow Mines in production too. And this Thor of Kua continuing out down into the center to join the rest of the army. The rest of the army, which, well, takes a moment to kind of sit back. And I think Kua is maybe even looking at a slower approach to this game now. You know, the momentum he had down the kind of the middle of the map on the bottom side, that sort of area, that was great, but now he's kind of lost it. It becomes a little bit difficult to take that back. He's realizing there's a lot of creep over this side he might have to be careful of. And now Dark has the meter still making a pretty good bid for control, while also this Ling Bane army could run up into this orbital command, for example. So there are definitely problems still on the map here for Kua, as Dark loops around with these Mutalisks. We're going to be seeing the Marines, the Tank, and the Thor all into the center as well. And that Hive on the way up from Dark in the main base, so he's getting that underway. He's ready for the next step too. Of course, Kua will hit those 3-3 upgrades well in advance, and he will have a bit of a time where he has that upgrade lead. I just don't see where he can take a fight that's going to be that significant with an upgrade lead. Because it's not like, you know, if you take a fight like sort of here with an upgrade lead, that's great, you'll probably trade well, but you've got to move through so much creep before the Zerg remaxes, and I just don't think you do anything with that attack. If this fight happens anywhere further down here, well, what the hell was Dark doing? How did Kua get there? So that's my issue for Kua right now, and that's why I think he just has to slow this game down. There's creep spread all over the place, and Dark is just controlling. He's going to find this medevac, so this drop revealed itself on creep, so he's able to kind of know where it is. He loses a couple mutas, but again, he's cleaning up some of the control from Kua, and I think that's fine, and he is making steps toward that Hive tech. And once this Hive kicks in, well, you know what we're going to see. 3-3, Adrenal Glands, Ultra Cavern all coming down. Dark has the money to do all of that at once as well, because he's on 92 drones. He's been pretty comfortable. He's never really lost much eco this game. He's going to be seeing the Widow Mines here have some big potential. Oh, big Widow Mines actually hit the dead center of the Marines. That helps Dark out a lot, as he is going to get the sweep through and clean up. A few reinforcements showing up from Kua, but yeah, those Widow Mines were deadly. They actually just went like dead center on a pack of Marines, and just meant the Lings cleaned up what was left there so easily. No Banes left from Dark, really, or not enough to continue pushing through, as he had 80 Lings in reproduction. And this is where Kua not being able to do any economic damage to the mineral lines of Dark is really going to start paying the price, because now Dark is just going to remax, and he's still got a bank to play with. And this is what I mean. Where does the fight really happen here for Kua? But it's great. I mean, maybe you win this fight here and you take down this base, and yet Dark's already expanding so much on the bottom side. I question if that's even a win. And that's why I'm not saying that that's unwinnable then from the Terran. I just think it's unwinnable by trying to push and push and push. And I think you need to take a step back as Kua. Maybe not right now, but as soon as Ultras are really coming out, a step back and move into Ghost, move into Liberators, and start taking that very efficient army composition that can just trade really well against what Dark is going to then have on the map. Because right now he's already trading well, Kua, right? So if eventually he keeps on expanding, etc., this can be okay. It's just he needs to make sure you can also trade efficiently against the Ultras and not take a fight where he's going to lose too much all at once, which is what the Ultras are really good at doing. They're really good at showing up, and suddenly you just sweep through a Terran army, and before the Terran has a chance to think about rebuilding, you're on top of production, you're on top of bases, the Terran economy falls apart, and they can't keep up in the game. And that's why I would like to see something like Ghosts and Libs to make those trades less likely to happen in Dark's favor. And now Kua's still fighting in the center. In fairness, Dark is still kind of, playing Kua's game. He's still meeting him on the front of this creep spread and kind of trading, pretty badly. 7,000 resources lost difference here, favoring Kua naturally in the matchup. And I wouldn't even say, that's very regular. I would say that means that Kua's been doing the right things. I did mention, Kua's income. Kua hasn't done much to the income of Dark. Kua's income has also not been hit either. Dark's had no successful run-bys. He's had no Banelings hitting any SCVs. So that's all very good news. We're going to be seeing this bio pushing forward. A few creep tuners going down. I'm just going to see the rest of this bio showing up as these Banelings are being picked up. And Ling Bane Ultra starting to run down into the center of the map. We're going to be seeing a few of these Banes already being picked away at. And this feels like a bit of a better start of the fight from Dark. But actually, you look at what's left, and it's Kua who has so much. Marauders pushing these Ultras back. And what a fantastic setup that is, as we see our bio army continuing down, and this is going to be a hatchery. on the front doorstep. That drone goes down as well. And there's going to be seeing a few of these creep tumors being picked away over on the right-hand side. So that'll be picked away at 2. There's a few extra banelings setting up and still pushing through, looking to see this hatch maybe taken down. That's the issue. Kyo might be winning these fights. He's still not dealing good economic damage. 8.5k difference, but the Ultras are coming out. The Corruptors are here too, I guess, to help clear out some of these medevacs, which actually would be really nice. Even got a whole Ultra hit squad up to the top sires. I mean, a few SCVs running by. Those are free pickings if Dark realizes it, but instead he's looking down in the bottom right where we see Ling Bane storming on through. SCV's already going down en masse. That Planetary Fortress does fall. The Ling's kind of just everywhere as Widow Mines continue to drop, cleaning up here, there, everywhere. And there's 6 SCVs dead. And only 6 SCVs dead. I mean, this base goes down. He can't just replace it with this command center. So you can get back to 5 bases as Kua. But you lost a lot of supply right there. And Kua just didn't quite have as much of a bank as Dark did, which is natural. But that's why you can't lose these bases, because losing this base now takes away the extra income that Kua needs to rebound into a full-on remax right away. And that's where Dark's army is terrifying, because now Dark's going to come rampaging into this base, already remaxed, and Kua's still just trying to stream some units out here. And yes, Dark's fighting into Planetary Fortress, etc., but now he's going to start hitting the economy for real. 14 SCVs, another base going down. Okay, you can replace it. And yes, again, it's an expensive trade for Dark, don't get me wrong, but he's now working with a 30-worker lead. And that's only going to mean Dark maxes out against an even lower supply of Kua, and this game becomes more and more difficult for Kua to get a proper handle on. Ling Bane, Ultra all joining up. There's a hatchery that wants to build, but there's a Widow Mine in the way. It's very easily dealt with. Usually those Widow Mines blocking bases take a little, actually take a little longer to get handled, but this time not the case in the slightest. I'd like you splitting this up a bit, right? It kind of forces Dark to split up a bit, and again, it maybe gives you the chance for these better fights. I gotta say, Kua really played the game the way he wanted to stay on this bio army, bio mine. He didn't move up into Ghost, Liberators. He never teched up. And I mean, that's a dangerous game to play, and it's kind of why he's in the position he's in now, because you just never really get an army that's great at dealing with the Ultras. And it just means you never really sit back and stabilize on a larger map like this, and you're really looking to continue to cause chaos, but it's Dark, that chaos has kind of worked against him in the end, because Dark has won a bunch of fights. Again, Kua's not out of it yet, but he's got a tough fight to fight, because he needs some really efficient trades, while also I think he needs to get rid of like a base and a few drones, I think, just to slow that economy of Dark down a little bit. You can see Dark's bank isn't insane. He only has 700 gas. Yeah, the minerals are nice, but if that's only Lings, whatever. You can just get rid of, I mean, where are the gases though, right? All of these external bases don't even have gases on them. So the gas issue isn't even a base issue. It's just that Dark hasn't taken his gases. He could absolutely have more gas in the bank if he wanted it. So then I don't even know, right? Because what does this base up here do for you? Get rid of the mineral mining? Well, like I say, that's kind of feels like a minor problem. As you see the Banes is crashing in here again. They're going to get a lot of SCVs, of course, and they might not quite get the Planetary Fortress, but another 13 workers while only 3 go down across the map. Well, this bio continues to charge forward, so Kua's still moving through, but he's out of minerals now. He's out of money, and that's the issue. 45 SCVs are not going to support him well enough. Ultra's still going down. I mean, this is actually a really difficult army to clean up, apparently. It's probably the most trouble Dark has had in the entire day so far. As the medevac gets shot down, the Ling's still coming through. All of this bio will continue to drop, and Dark just up on a 50 supply lead, looking fantastic. 40 drones ahead still. I mean, he finally loses a few more workers. That's 8 drones lost. That's half the workers he's lost in the entire game in 19 minutes. That's how impenetrable his bases and mineral lines have been to Kua's attacks. Yeah, as this bio pushes through, I mean, there really isn't much else you need me to say, guys, right? This is just not going to be enough. The analysis has been said. And now we watch Dark cruise through to a victory in the next minute or two, I would imagine. Yeah, maybe there's one more cleanup from Kua and Dark has to remax again. I mean, he's already got 5 Ultras on the way, so maybe it's just a case of waiting for those to take to the stage and to get on out here as well. A lot more Lings still pouring out, a couple Ultras coming through, 9 Banelings on the way up from Dark. And we are going to be seeing Dark making his run around the top left-hand side. Few Widow Mines, Marauders, and Marines from Kua. Up to the 12 o'clock as well, as the Ling Bane Ultra Army going to make its way forward. wants to go toward this upper 12 o'clock base. I mean, he's just splitting his army in two. I mean, just in case Kua didn't have difficulty enough in terms of having enough units, how the hell is Kua meant to make two different defensive armies? Well, I'm going to leave that question to Kua, because if he finds an answer, he can be the best Terran player in the world for all I care. There's just no way. He just doesn't have the numbers. I've been saying it for a while, guys. TVZ is like this sometimes, where the Terran just believes they can maybe take a fight, but there it is. Kua types out GG, and we'll give Dark game number 1 of this best of 9. I mean, he kind of fell into the trap of Ice and Chrome, which is just that Ice and Chrome is a map which is absolutely 100% truly terrible. I'm not going to say it's terrible for Bio, because you saw the opportunity for Kua pushing into the middle of the map down here. It was just, once that died off, what was he meant to do? Well, then I think you are just meant to play like a much more turtly later game. Kua didn't want to do that against Dark, and eventually Dark just had the map, mining out, trading everywhere, and Kua just couldn't keep up with just the rebuilds. And, you know, the moment that Dark finally took down a base, you could just see Kua wasn't really able to get maxed out quickly enough. And then he took down a base in SCVs, and it just snowballed from there, as Dark picks up game number 1. Best of 9, though, long way to go in the series, as Kua can definitely... Top right-hand side, our red Terran player from... Well, they're both from Dragon Phoenix Gaming here. The Dragon Phoenix Gaming Showdown. It is Kua. Up against the Blue Zerg on the bottom left-hand side, it is Dark. As we get into game 2 of the series, and Dark obviously off and away with a lead, up 1-0 in our best of 9. So yeah, good start to this. Definitely a fun way to get going. Excuse the lack of sound for a moment. That's really weird. Do I not have sound enabled in the background? Give me 1 second, guys. Playing background, there we go. Just wanted to tab out for a quick moment or so. And then the game sounds weren't working properly. How about that? Wonder why that setting changed. So yeah, barracks building up here. No proxy racks and no immediate kind of gas pool or anything from Dark. So it looks like we'll get into a fairly standard setup initially on Eternal Empire. Of course, I do imagine at some point in a best of 9, Kua has to crank out at least 1 or 2 proxy racks, right? It's just a build that you absolutely want to mix in a TVZ. It's a build that can absolutely transition away as well, but it can also straight up win the game if your opponent doesn't, you know, respect it. And that's the power of it, because if you mix it in, Dark has to respect it every time then. And if he isn't respecting it, I mean, that's the thing, I guess, as Kira as well. It's sort of that thing of, you know, is he checking for the proxies? Well, he is, so do you need to proxy to make him respect it? Not really. But what if Dark says after 2 or 3 games, right, he's just not proxying me, I'm just going to send overlords across the map and look for info and not look for proxy racks? Then, you know, that's when I think it's nice for Kira to start mixing it in, just to keep that as a question mark in the series. As we do have our SCV scout across the map, obviously wants to make sure there's no pool first, and that allows for the Reaper to come straight across the map without any threat of Zerglings running into the natural expansion or so. Yeah, this SCV coming all the way down into the natural, where, well, there's a queen on the way up. And he will actually take the SCV to the 3rd base. So you will look to block this 3rd base by just a little bit then. So 3rd hatchery going to be delayed for a while as this drone of Dark moving over. We'll see how much Kua really wants to block this. The Reaper is out. Reaper could come to this 3rd to try and deny it. Looks like he wants to try and trade with Lings a little bit initially. He still has time before that SCV takes too much damage. He's going to engineer and bay block, so he really does want to make a bid to slow the 3rd base down. Generally from this, Dark will just stay full on in gas then, after starting Ling speed. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to go into a faster lair. In fact, he skips Ling speed to go straight into the lair. So Dark says, yeah, you're gonna, you know, engineer and bay block me, I will do something very weird. Now, from Kira, he doesn't have the information as to what exactly is happening yet. This queen is in position to try and help deflect if the Reaper hops up. The idea is, right, this very realistically from Dark could just be Ling speed on the way up, and, you know, getting into that, and maybe then taking still a fast lair, but not like a 2.5 minute lair. As this engineering bay will go down. Reaper is still here. We'll try maybe grenade a couple more times, a little bit of extra damage done, trying to slow this drone down. Anything you can do to slow it down. So, again, Kira really committing to this, really going to follow through for it as well. As this overlord up to the top side. Extractor is going to build and just going to be seeing a couple of SCVs back into the natural. A few Marines setting up also as our starport is going to finish, and it's going to start building up a Viking. So Viking already on the way through as the Extract had to cancel once. This time the Queen is finally getting over here to perhaps finally slow this down. Oh, the Queen is now going to block the hatchery. Oh my god. It's amazing how much a Terran can do here when they decide to slow down this hatchery. It's really kind of incredible how much you do. And behind this, you know, if I was doing this, I've got like 2,500 minerals in the bank right now. But that's what's so good about Kure. Behind this, he's had, you know, building starting, add-on swapping, SCVs producing, depots building the wall, all while being so annoying with that initial block and getting so much out of the Reaper. Well, no third hatchery actually taken here. So, funnily enough, after all was said and done, there's still no third. And the Reaper's taking just a passive position, so I'll say that Q is not really picking up on much info now. He starts up Cloak Banshees. That's really not great against what is a very fast Spire. I mean, a fast Spire like this, you come out, those Cloak Banshees are going to get hard shut down. He cancels, he changes his mind. What did he see? Did he see anything? Is it the Viking? He wasn't onto the third base when he cancelled it, so he's just decided not to go for it. He's going to go Stim instead. Was there a scout from Dark that's done it? No. He's just made a really good call. This might be something like Mutalisk. So I mean, what a call from Kure. Because if he made Cloak Banshees, they're going to be really nullified quickly. Not only are there going to be Mutas out, there's also going to be an Overseer for detection, right? So you're not even going to get those annoying little positions where you pick off a few drones out of range of the Spore Crawler. No, you're going to get really nothing at all. So what a cancel that is. And now this Viking continue to pick up good damage too, by the way. He might get a third Overlord here. The Queen's out the front, deflecting Hellions from getting into the natural. There was no Ling speed until just now, and there's been very few Lings made, so those Hellions are extremely dangerous. The moment they get past the Queens, they're likely to do a lot of damage. Now, of course, the Mutas are out, but Dark doesn't want to reveal them right away, sending them to the top side of the map. Nah, Kure knows. I think, obviously, now he's seen the timing of the third base. That definitely helps him identify the possibility of this, and he will just build a missile turret in each mineral line. Here's the Banshee cancel that I really look at there, and if you guys maybe have a clue what he maybe figured out, then yeah, let me know, because there's a sick call. Another Overlord, that could have been a trans... Oh, was that really no transfuse? Wow. Honestly, Queen Energy always surprised me. I always feel like there should be a transfuse, and it's actually like 5 energy away. Nice extra kill on the Viking before it goes down. And these Hellions, we said they were going to be dangerous. The Mutas are across the map, so they can't really help out with these Hellions at all. So the Hellions get 8 drones, a bunch of Lings, and stay alive to maybe fight another day, depending on if the Mutas can catch them returning back home or going elsewhere. There's a couple Mutas coming out. Looks like the Hellions will bid for the natural and try and get some drone damage here instead. Just going to go through. 5 workers down. Going to get to 6. Get a few more, I imagine. 8. Job well done for the most part. So 8 drones killed, as we'll see. This orbital command is going to make its way to the third base location. And just going to be seeing the Mutalisks of Dark continuing out to the upper right-hand side. Tank is set up here. The few Marines joining. A couple medevacs overhead, and that's going to be a missile turret just about halfway done as our 1-1 upgrades, combat shields, all continuing through our Mutalisks in the upper right-hand side. Refinery taking a bit of damage as our Marines stem over and the Mutas get pushed away. Gets pushed away there. Combat shield about halfway done. There's a couple of extra racks into the main base, and just going to be seeing Dark continuing through the center. Armory is building from Kure in the main. And just again, watching this kind of Mutalisk cloud try and find damage. Marines stimming, pushing the Mutas back. Not really allowing anything to happen. There's a lot of Lings on the way up. Bane speed gets started as well. Yeah, I mean, just a bit worried for Dark because he's so far behind on upgrades. He obviously took some initial drone damage. It really feels like... I mean, the only reason Kure isn't across the map already is because the Mutas are doing a very good job of keeping him moving around his own bases. But if Kure could force a fight anytime soon, before 1-1 of Dark... Even when he hits 2-2 versus 1-1, right? I mean, there's just so... That's the thing. The Mew's doing a great job now, but can they do a great job forever? Because there's not just one timing in this game the Dark needs to get past. There are multiple different points where Kua could push, and Kua's going to have a rather large advantage going into the bigger fight. So, yeah. I'm not really convinced about Dark's spot right now, but I mean, are you ever meant to be when you lose that amount of drones early? He kind of made this bid into mutas. That's the thing too, right? He made the mutas early. Very fast Spire. To do what? How much damage was really dealt here? 4 SCVs, 7 Marines. You're not meant to take damage when you open 2-base muta. It's meant to be really giving you the options to defend. Taking damage while going 2-base muta is almost inexcusable just because it is already an eco, a very aggressive opener, so your eco hurts. As we just come back in, this refinery taking a few shots of damage. It will go down. Marines stimming up as the mutas get pushed away. On the bottom side, some Ling Bane getting rolling. You see a hatchery down here as we do have our 2-2 upgrades continuing through, about halfway done. Seen a couple of extra medevacs about to pop out. Got a massive army waiting to move out from here. All of these tanks going to unsiege, going to come to the middle. Mutalisks of the Dark go to the right side. He's going so Mutalisk heavy. He's going to have 28 mutas while he only has 58 Lings and Banes combined. So there is 1 muta for every 2 Lings, basically, that have been made in this game. That is a statistic which you don't usually hear. Maybe not made overall, but out on the map right now. It's so muta heavy. I mean, there's just no army to defend this attack. So these mutas basically have to base trade to victory. And against 1-1 Marines that are in very good numbers, honestly, in a very good choked up position, it just ain't happening. The Banelings here do get a couple Marines to start, but that's it. That was the Banelings. 11 more morphing. The mutas and Lings decide to come back home. Dark maybe can overwhelm this. 2-2 is finished, so overwhelming seems like a bit of a stretch. Q is on his way to reinforce as well. The 4th base goes down. Not really much of a contest past those first few Banes. There are a lot of Marines here. There are a lot of Marines there. And that's what I mean. These mutas are trying to slow the reinforcements get down while Dark gets a few more Banes up to crash into this initial army. He's just not hit in time because now the rest of the reinforcements are here, and this means that Kira is fighting full force. There's still the idea of maybe going up for the counterattack here as Dark, but boy, are there just so many Marines. He's making more mutas. Do more mutas really fix your problems? No, not really. I guess the idea of more mutas is he really just wants to overwhelm, and if he can take down the Marines with the Banes, he really maybe overwhelms a lot of reinforcements, and maybe he can then base trade and camp production, and that's why he wants more mutas. It just feels like such a specific set of circumstances that you need best possible chance for Dark, as the tanks were unsieged at the start of that fight, and yet so many Marines remain alive. He's down upgrades. There's a reason we're being so negative for Dark right now, everybody, and that is because he really just... These fights are just not meant to go his way, and they are absolutely not. Just in case he did 1-2-2, he's now going to have to rebuild Evo chambers to get toward it. There's a few Lings kind of stream in. These tanks are just not going anywhere either. I love these Marines that are just kind of hunting the Mutalisk flock down. And these Banes might be able to come into reinforcements. Yeah, there's so many reinforcements as well, though. The Banes get good connections to the reinforcements. The Ling Bane from the left side tries to attack. There are so many Marines left, and when your goal was to make enough mutas to overrun the Marine count, there being too many Marines left over is the last thing you want to be hearing. GG, and it is going to be Kua to tie the series up 1-1. And with again, a long road ahead of us. To the bottom left-hand side, the Red Terran player who did tie us up 1-1, it is Kua. And as the SCV is going on the map, is in the top right side of the map, our blue Zerg player is Dark. It's going to be seeing the proxy racks. I mean, that's really cool because it's really been kind of it's really cool because I talked about it in the last game, right? It's like, I told you guys he would do it. It does just make sense. And Dark has been pretty careful about scouting for proxy racks, and this is kind of cute just doing a check for that, because unless he gets to watch the replay, it's hard for him to know for sure that Dark has been very careful about it. In this case, Dark finds... The thing is, even if you, even if you are careful about scouting, sometimes you will still just miss it, right? And that's why the proxy racks can still be okay. This should be worst case scenario, though, for, this should be worst case scenario for Dark, I think. for Kua though, because he gets scoured so quickly. Drones are going to pull to come deal with this. I was just going to be seeing them pulling across SCVs. Yeah, he's going to go for the SCVs. Is that a wall off though? If the SCVs go the other side, can the drones not reach? Because that's a pretty sick position if it is, because that is obviously the reason he's put them there. This drone is going to... Oh, this SCV gets low, but this SCV... He's been a little unlucky. The SCVs didn't go build on this side. More drones showing up. Can he stop this Rax? He can't, can he? I mean, you can still hear the drones kind of fight with the first Marine or so and make it difficult for it to kite and so on. Oh, the Marine pops out on the other side, so it looks as though Kyo will wait just a little bit. As we're going to be seeing our hatchery on the natural. Gas and pool setting up. And these couple of drones just going to go to the upper right-hand side. It's a gas and a pool. Hatchery and a pool. No gas. Well, a few more Marines is going to be popping, going to go out to the front, and just going to see our Overlord of Dark heading down to the bottom left-hand side. So, Dark's over down the bottom left as we've got our Marines and SCVs coming through. Starting to put some damage out. First bunker goes down. We're going to be having the hatchery taking a little bit of damage here already. And a few extra lings on the way in as the drones are going to show up. Marines want to start pulling back, and a few lings coming in. I mean, obviously, bunkers are definitely not going to go up here, right? Because the lings are going to get on top of them. If the lings and the drones chase the Marines, the only thing here is making sure you don't over-chase his Dark. I mean, this is probably going to be working out fine because he's going to be able to get the kills guaranteed. And that's really good info. But there is absolutely scenarios where you over-chase, it takes you too many workers. This was perfect. You cancel the bunkers, you chase it away, you get the Marine kills, and Kira is really shut down. Now, Kira looks at this and he says, well, I've taken some income advantages in this game. I'm starting my expansion at home. Obviously, my rack's on around for a while, and I've got to build a Hellion to make sure these lings don't do too much. But it's somewhat playable for Kira. The problem is now Dark really has a bit of freedom, sees the racks going home, knows there's a command center coming, and so Dark just has freedom to drone and drone, build a third hatchery, and really just build up from here on out for a little while. So this is really kind of just build up territory as our starport sets up in the main, a CC in the main base too. And a couple of racks continue to flow down to the bottom left-hand side. Away they will go. Things coming over. This Marine continues to back away. Is going to get... there we go. Gets caught in the end as the extractor is cancelled. There's a couple lings around the top side. The rack's back to the main base. Yeah, you can see Doc's advantage already starting to eke out a little bit, right? 8 worker lead, plus the fact that any SCVs coming out right now from Cure aren't going to be mining properly because he's past the most efficient point of saturation. They will still give him more money, not as much money as if they were mining the natural. And he's going to fly the natural down straight away. If he does that, it's going to be an even later orbital command. He is going to morph the orbital even longer until these 4 extra SCVs start mining properly. So a whole bunch of issues here. This Overlord just stuck around to see everything too, sees it's a Viking. That's kind of nice, right? It kind of means that you know it's a Viking first out the starport. By leaving the Overlord here, because there's no other way to get anti-air, it almost kind of forces the Viking. So if you wanted to go for a medevac drop, which it looks like is the plan, this is, you know, being delayed by the production of a Viking already. That's just going to be seen our third TC starting from here in the main base. A third hatchery down the right side. Our creep teamers continue to spread out. And our Zergling Speed of Dark in the main base as well. We are just going to be seeing our factory moving across, and we'll be taking a tech lab. Starport going to move through to the reactor. I'm just going to be seeing the extra racks now coming in to really power up on 2 base eco. But this is a 5-minute natural from Dark. From Kira. And Dark at the same time has his third finish. So not mining, but finished. Just kind of puts into perspective the timing of this base. As the natural starts mining, Dark is realistically starting to saturate the third. And that is just not a timing which adds up in this world of ZvT. Now, these are only slow lings. The Hellion drop absolutely has a bit of potential right now, coming in and doing pretty decently. I mean, the slow ling's obviously just not great at defending this, but it is defended. It is pushed back without that much concern, really, in the end. As a Spore Crawler sets up in the bottom corner, and just going to see that Viking chased away. The couple Hellions coming through, the medevac into the center. Melee upgrades continuing on the Evo chambers. Link speed still building. I'm just going to be having this refinery from Cure finishing up on the natural. As again, a couple Hellions coming down. They're going to get picked off. A bunch of these creep teamers continue to drop here as the Viking comes over as well. And it's just going to be full cleanup as all of this creep gets taken down. It's really nice, of course. So yeah, a few creep tuners being picked off. The Queen's coming through. You see Shanks over to that far right-hand side. Going to be seeing the Marines coming along as well. As Kyo gets a push going. I mean, this is his real opportunity, right? To maybe make something happen. He's got Stim. I mean, there's no Bane Nest up right now. I mean, if I can see Kyo winning the game, it's with something here early. I think the longer this game goes on, the more Dark's advantages come through. The only thing right now is maybe Dark has been a little bit too greedy. It's just going to be seeing the tanks setting up. Queenslings coming straight in. It's a big surround. I mean, you know when the Zerg's cleaning these attacks up with just Lings, that it's maybe a bit problematic for the Terran player, right? That ain't pretty for Kyo's point of view in the slightest. So, yeah, at one of these games, we've kind of seen the direction it's going, and it's playing out as expected. Dog, again, only 5 workers ahead right now, but he's also got freedom to build a lot more if he wants to. I mean, right now he's building more Lings because I feel like he smells blood in the water because he realizes, hey, I just killed a lot of army. And yeah. You all know Dark likes to smell the blood in the water. Some say so much so he was originally meant to be called Shark. He just misspelled the name. Dark, not quite the same, but still has that killer instinct. Hey, Spire on the way down from Dark on that right-hand side, so he's gonna keep on teching up. Bane speed coming through. He's got the melee upgrade advantage. And yeah, Spire continuing in as we will see Marines and Medivacs making their way through to come through for a scan onto this creep spread. So here we go. Here these creep teams already going down. Lings wanting to get it. Oh, there's a wraparound. This is meant to be a really good position, but the fact that it was actually able to get through for the majority wraparound, that's obviously not what Kyo was hoping for. Kyo was expecting to kind of fully block the Lings off and then only 3 Marines can be hit. Then you probably don't fight that. I mean, he's still doing a good job bouncing around and making this awkward for Dark to try and clean up. As you see 2 melee upgrades from Dark about halfway, not halfway done, but just getting started. And about half an upgrade ahead of the Terran players' upgrades right now. Single Ling of Dark out into the center. A few Marines coming up. And a couple of Medivacs Marines on the bottom side. We're going to see a bunch of these Marines already being cleaned out as Ling Bane over the far right. A little bit of creep continue to push down the bottom side. And as the 1-1 upgrades are going to finish up here from Kyo, we're going to be seeing Dark still wanting to press forward. I mean, these Marines... this is the problem. If this is the best Kyo can do, look at this creep spread. Dark is basically just protecting creep right now. He's now getting mutas up as well. Kyo's even going to start a second factory, so he even accepts the fact that like an 8 racks push isn't going to work here. So he's going to try and, I guess, hope for like a lot of tanks and a lot of good connections and some bad fights from Dark to perhaps, maybe, possibly make this work as Marines and Medivacs joining up together. Ling is going to come running straight over, and in a way, Kyo was kind of inviting Dark into this mineral line, but Dark backs off. I think he knows 2-2s on the way for him. He actually doesn't have that many Banelings yet. He's getting to a point where realistically the next thing he's going to build is just going to be masses upon masses of Banelings, and those are the sort of fights which he's just going to run into no problem at all. Still popping now. The muta's coming in. That's going to be the refinery. Taking a little bit of extra damage. Again, muta's just looking for openings. The thing is, from Dark, you just don't want to get too overzealous, right? You know you're in a great spot. Just wants to wait until he has as much of an advantage as possible before he slams on into this. And yeah, I mean, he's obviously just expanding behind it. It's 5-6 bases already on the way up here on Everdream. Creep spread is really everywhere, so his bases are on top of just being everywhere. They are almost untouchable. And again, for Dark, it might just be finding the right angle to fight in the near future. I would have thought maybe he could have got a few more Banes, but this honestly might just be okay. If he comes from the left to the top, maybe some units down this direction too, because this is a little bit of a choke point, but okay, he splits them around this side. A few of the Banes actually stop, and they do take some tank fire, but need I explain more, my friends? Need I explain more? You've been kind of watching the eventuality of this game coming through for a little while, and this was Dark just crashing in as expected off the early game advantage from defending that 2 racks very well. GG's, and it is going to be Kyo tapping out GG, giving Dark the lead in the series for the second time. Bottom right-hand side, our Red Terran player here. Once again, down in the series, as we've been ping-ponging one map to one map for each player so far. Maybe it's Kyo's turn to win, as he is on Submarine. It's kind of the Terran map. In the bottom right side, it is Kyo. As in the top left, our blue Zerg player from Dragon Phoenix Gaming, of course, as well, is Dark. So I don't know exactly how these videos went down, but looking at how it's played out, I imagine in best of 9 you pick 7 maps, right? So there's no vetoes. So it would make a lot of sense to me that Dark picked Ice and Chrome, Q picked Eternal Empire. It also makes a lot of sense to me that Dark would pick Everdream, and Q would pick Submarine. And what that means so far, more so than just kind of saying who picked which map, is that I would really believe that I really do believe that what do I want to say? I'm struggling to get my words out all of a sudden. I really do believe that actually we've had both players winning on their own map choices so far, which is obviously kind of cool to think about, right? Because especially earlier in this series, you're going to be picking the maps when there's no vetoes at all. You're going to pick the maps which are most beneficial to your race, right? Because you want the early points on the board. It is good for your momentum most of the time. That's the most common strategy when picking map orders, right? So it is cool to kind of see that, and it'll be very interesting to see who maybe breaks that streak first. You know, if Dark wins here, Q would then at some point probably have to win on one of Dark's map picks, and that's kind of a, you know, just a little bit more of a struggle. But the later maps as well are kind of a little bit more evened out. So if you can win one map off of a Q map pick now, I would say before the maps start getting a little bit more regular, we start getting to that Death Aura, we start getting into Pillars of Gold maps these players want to play a lot of the time, then yeah, I could imagine that being a good, you know, a good kind of point for Dark, like a big kind of win for him on the board. This was Gas Pool Open, and you see a very fast Roach Warren already starting in the back of the main base. So Roach Warren will start to build. Just going to see the couple of Lings moving around, splitting up the SCV. Heading down the bottom right-hand side. Command center on the natural expansion, and waiting for Q to see if he can figure out Roach Warren. Now, he does know it's a gas pool hatch. He sees the hatchery timing, so from the very start, he'll know something is potentially up. On the other side of this, right, Q, he's keeping the Reaper at home to deal with Lings. There is a time where you need to send this Reaper across the map to try and pick up the info as to whether it is Roaches or not, unless you just try to hard blind counter it by building a bunker on the high ground no matter what, which some Terrans did just start doing when these Roach Rushes were super popular. We don't see it as much now because it actually isn't as common to go for this kind of gas pool hatch into Roach Brush. It's still a possibility, don't get me wrong. I like this. He's got a plan. He's going to go straight to Marines Tech Lab on the factory, so he's absolutely responding as though there are Roaches. He's seen the Roaches to confirm, and now he sees 4. It would be really nice if he could see 1 more, because seeing that it's 5 or 6 is just a little bit more committed than like the 4 Roaches, which can be like 3 Ravages just corrosive violent all the time. It's just nice to know exactly how much it is. I mean, he'll find out anyway, and I don't think it changes what he wants to do here. He is going to opt for no bunker because he has made no Hellions. He's got his Cyclone very quickly, so it seems like he says I can get away with no bunker. If that's true, well, that's a nice save, but of course it's a little bit questionable. Burst of Bars dropping down. This Roaches and Ravages putting some damage out. This depot is in some trouble. Cyclone gets a lock on. This Overlord pushed away. This Overlord pushed back right now and is going to go down. So Overlord falls as Roaches and Ravages trying to break up here. So there's a supply block. I mean, with the Cyclone, it should still be alright. I mean, again, I feel like a bunker would have made this much easier. As it stands, like I said, it's going to be alright. You're going to defend this. It just could have been an easier time. And this Orbital stays alive on the low ground too, still producing SCVs, as Dark actually got supply blocked from losing the Overlord, so supply blocks apiece. This Dark is going to take the 3rd down the left-hand side, moving away from where that Reaper was trying to set up a bit of a block. Yeah, good defense from Kira. As long as you don't lose any SCVs in this is nice. The best news, I would say, from Dark is he kept a lot of the units alive, right? He got away before they got chased down or anything. And that's really cool because now he can be a little greedier on the follow-up if he wants to be greedy. He's actually making a lot of Lings, and we'll see if he actually goes for like a secondary attack. I think he might. That's a lot of Lings on the way. But then this Banshee from Q is going to be really important. The powerful thing about the Lings is that there's no Hellions, right? So the lack of Hellions means that this Ling flood sort of follow-up can be more powerful than usual. But yeah, the other alternative, just to quickly cover it, is that by keeping the Roach Ravager alive, you have more freedom to drone because you don't have to build as many units defensively against a follow-up counterattack from the Terrans. So I don't mind it as much for Dark. Definitely advantageous from Kyo. Let's see how this next attack does, though, because this can change everything. As the Banshee moving through, Kyo has no idea about this until right now. He sees the Lings. Good news is he can start picking away the Ravagers. Obviously wants to dodge this corrosive bile wall. Yeah, well, I mean, these Lings are very likely to get the cancel on this command center and make their way in. There's no high ground wall off, which means these Lings are very likely to get a lot done. The extra SCVs pulling forward across the map. Well, this medevac actually just decided to turn around and come back home, bringing some extra Marines and the Cyclone back. Actually, very fortunate for Dark that medevac was on the map, because these few extra units might have just made the difference between holding the 3rd CC and the wall off. Now Dark is through, he's going to get straight in, and these Lings are going to hit this mineral line. A lot of these SCVs starting to go down. These Marines clean up a few more Lings. This Ravager up on the high ground, as we are just going to see these other few Lings going down as well. There's going to be a cleanup, but 17 workers lost, and Dark droning behind this. And now Dark really has done the damage, perhaps come out in a lead in this game. Now, it's not definitely over. Again, I mean, it's only an 11 worker lead. You did cancel the 3rd. That's a big positive. But you're on very low tech. The Terran player is already on stim. They've got 2 cloaked Banshees to come across the map and counterattack with. That can obviously be a good chunk of dead drones as well. That is absolutely a possibility right here. As our 2 Banshees move to the upper left side. Cloak done, remember, so they can cloak up. And there's no overseers right now, so this Queen, for example, would be in a lot of trouble. Does move at a good time to maybe go into a safe direction. Pulling back here. Spores about to finish between bases. Dark, very good preparation. The 3rd hatchery Spores just finished in time. I'm just going to sit around, but we've got a lair about to finish, so it's not long before Queens and an Overseer can very realistically push these Banshees back without really blinking twice. And back at home, Cure at least is going to get the 3rd CC up. Combat shields dying. The 20-ish drones down. Maybe fairer to say closer to 15. It depends when you're looking at it, but in general, still a very good spot. The fact that these Banshees didn't get anything. And even if the Banshees get like 5 workers, it feels like it's so much more manageable. Your 10-ish workers behind, it's like, well, that's alright. I've got triple mule about to start playing as my 3rd CC morphs into an orbital. But 15, 20 workers against Dark, that seems a little bit scarier. Especially when Dark seemingly feels now he's comfortable defensively, so he doesn't have to worry about not droning, and he can just fully saturate base 3. Finally, a few drones go down, so these Banshees finally finding a way in, and that's the power of the Banshees. They are just so good, they're so mobile, and there's always going to be nukes and crannies they can just slot into to get a little bit of damage done. So good play by Kyo, good movement on the Banshees to try and find a bit more. Look at this, he even says that he's a little bit desperate to get damage done, and that every drone counts right now. Well, 1-1 still coming up. Combat shield will finish in a moment. We do see our Marines out to the center, joined up with the Cyclone. The orbital command is going to move across to the 3rd base as well. There's a bit of creep spread still pushing through the middle of the map. 1-1 missile upgrades are coming into play. Roach speed is about to complete. These 5 extra overlords all coming through too. As we have got our 1-1 upgrades on the engineering base. Also coming up, Lings and Roaches out in the center. A couple creep teamers going down. We do see still some extra racks building from Cura as well. So 5 racks in total as Marines and medevac getting going. These few Marines going to be pretty quick to lift up and back away to the top side as through the center. Cure's going to get rid of some creep spread. So let's look at the advantage still of Cure here. He's on 1-1 upgrades a little bit faster. Dark is playing a Roach Ravager style. Generally, what Dark will do with this is you're going to cut at 66-ish drones and go for a big 1-1 Roach timing. Now, he is going 4th base and he is going Infestation Pit, so that might not be the intention here this time. He may instead look toward a future where there is a hive. Do you feel as though you're then playing a less than ideal composition, especially Infestation Pit and no Baneling Nest? Makes me think this is going to just be kind of Roach Ravager Viper. And I actually think you can handle that as Cure right now. You know, if I actually look at the income graph here, Dark definitely had leads, but he's not come out with as much of a lead as I really thought he would. Part of that is maybe the later 4th base. He has been stuck on 3 base saturation a while, and that's something that Kyo could catch up with, and he did catch up with. Another part of that may just be the... Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I guess in the end, the Banshees really did just find those extra few workers, and that really does help getting back into it a bit. A lot of bio setting up, and... yeah, Spire on the way too. He's going to try and go straight to Broodlords. What's funny is that Broodlords aren't that bad on this map because the size of the map is actually obviously pretty small. Smallest map in the map pool. So the Broods are a bit better than usual because they can move around much more easily. and actually be in more useful locations more frequently. They're less often out of location. And it's +2 upgrade starting, so it definitely looks like Dark has intentions of a longer macro-focused game, so he was just waiting on this 4th base coming up to get the few extra drones in play. I don't like this so much for Dark. I just don't like the Roach Ravager comp as much, and I really feel like Kyo has a good chance against a Roach Ravager composition here, compared to if this was Lings and Banes involved. Then goes down. There's going to be seen our Bio Army pushing up, a few tanks as well. Coming out to the top side here. A few of these tanks already sieging, and Lings, Roaches, Ravagers starting to run in. The Bio pulling back. There's a couple corrosive vials that take down a siege tank, make that another one. 2 tanks taken down right away there. Skewer has to take a step back once again. Ravagers of Dark up to the top side. We're going to be seeing these medevacs of Cure. Going to be moving down the bottom. We've got some Lings moving around as well. They're going to spot these couple of medevacs coming across. Marine's going to pick up a couple of creep tumors. If you, well, the Queen goes down as well. And again, this Roach Ravager taking quite a sizable amount of damage. The Bio Army picking away at those Zerglings. And just seeing Cure still in the bottom left-hand side. Lings through to the middle. I mean, the big thing from Dark is he's kind of buying time to get to Broodlords. If he gets to Broods, I do become a bit of a believer in this. I'm very scared of just the Ling Roach Ravager against these tanks and so on. Not that many tanks left, really, 4 on the map. Only 2 at the front. Having lost a couple, definitely hurting. Spire scene, that's amazing. What a scout for Q of these 2 medevacs. Knowledge of the grid Spire, and suddenly maybe he changes his approach to this game. Whether he gets more aggressive and pushes more quickly, or, you know, ups the ante, or if he just sets up into more starports. He is going to reinforce. He definitely wants to hit before Broodlords are out on the map. So he is coming up. Oh, well, this is not a fight I think Dog wants to take. I mean, Corrosive Vials. Oh, hits a bunch of medevacs. That's cute and all, but he wants to surround. So just the fight from the top side wasn't going to do it. If he comes in from the bottom as well, then maybe. He sends some Lings on the counterattack. Good defense from Cure, though. Cure's got a drop that'll hit the left side as well. He might be able to find the Evo Chamber. That might be a dead +2 Carapace. And he's committing forward. +2 Carapace denied seconds from completion. And for Dark, that's actually a big loss because those Roaches and Ravagers are just going to drop that a little bit faster now to all these bio units. So that is definitely a little bit addition here. A little bit extra, sorry. Fire coming through Roach Ravager, wanting to push in. Stemming forward, we're going to be seeing the Broodlords coming in. A lot of Broodlings dropping down already. And just going to be seeing these couple of tanks on siege and backing away over the right-hand side. As we're going to be seeing our 3-3 upgrades on the engineering base about to set up as well. So that's going to be getting going. The Ling Roach just underneath these medevacs. We do see the Bio Army still running away to the upper right. It is going to get out of there. But with Broodlords up, the idea now from Kira is maybe can he outposition and relocate around them. He is building up an answer to the Brutes and the Thors and the Vikings. I'm a little bit afraid that this army here is a bit trapped, and even this chunk that's just left behind, right? I mean, where are these units meant to go? Absolutely nowhere. So Q's just abandoned like 20 supply. That's going to do what? I mean, a drone that was maybe looking for an expand. There is the big drop into the main, but Dark knows about it because where else did those medevacs get to? Corruptors are showing up here as well. So, I mean, slowly but surely these medevacs are starting to drop too. Fire's going to stim, no one is going to fight it. As the top right gets cleaned out, there's a fight bottom left. We're going to look at it in just a moment, just making sure this gets cleaned out. It's going to be the push onto this base, and the base will fall. Roaches and Ravagers showing up to maybe fight it off. Needs another battle. Those 2 siege tanks getting a lot of damage done. Gotta say, I feel like a lot of these fights from Kia, I can't believe he's actually winning out here with 1 Marauder remaining. Feels like a lot of these fights from Kia have been very effective, very efficient, but there is still just the problem of he lost 20 supply top right. Maybe not efficient, but like they were getting more done than you'd imagine them. I mean, that's just the tendency of Dark's army. Problem is, you still need to deal with the Broodlords, and let's see if Kira can. I'm really sad about that 20 supply top right, by the way. I think that might have been a game changer. Thor's going to turn around here. Corruptors and Brutes taking some damage. The Bio's going to sit tight. Corruptors continue to chase in. Yeah, there's just not enough anti-air, is there? There's not a way to shut down the Brutes, especially now as they're on top of your base. you kind of need to do something about them. They're supported by so much Roach Ravager. And maybe that was Kyo's issue. He just didn't get enough proper anti-air up. You can see he's got a worker lead and all sorts here. I feel like Dark was playing a very dangerous game. I mean, this is almost all in. The fact he's on no fourth base at home, it's still rebuilding. Can he do it? I mean, Corrosive File's getting rid of one of the Thors. The Marines are starting to win out this fight on the ground. Maybe there is some hope. If this is only Corruptors left. Yeah, there's not hope at all, is there? For a moment, I thought he was maybe breaking through, but the right side from Dark stood very strong. He won that right side fight very easily, and that was a big deal. And yeah, everything else really fell into place from there. Kyo felt as though he was so close to breaking Dark down. A very interesting game on Submarine where it felt like Dark had a good start in the end. Felt like Kyo then got back into a good spot, but the Broods really were something Kyo wasn't ready for. And I actually still think about what if this 20 supply in the top was maybe in this fight here. That could have perhaps also just gone so very differently as well. GG's, as Dark will open up a 2-map lead in the series. Full best of 9 coming your way, of course. As we go to the top right-hand side, our red Terran player from Dragon Phoenix Gaming, it is Cure. And he has a couple of maps disadvantaged right now, so time for him to maybe fight back. As in the bottom left-hand side, the blue Zerg, give it up if you're cheering on Dark. I don't know why I did that with it. Ah! Felt like I was kind of screaming mid-introduction. Felt like Dark hit me with the counterattack midway through his name. While Pillars of Gold, nice open third bases, definitely lots of opportunity and chances around to counterattack and to flood in with Lings and so on. So it'll be interesting to see Q's approach on this map to be able to deal with that, because I do feel like Zerg has a good set of opportunities on the 3 base on this one. Now, just a quick mention, one of the things I like to talk about in these videos, especially when they're going up on YouTube, is one of the great ways you can support my content is to check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/WardiTV. Whether you support for 1 month or multiple months, and for however much you support, it really goes a long way. Everything that comes in on Patreon goes directly into WardiTV tournament prize pools, which helps me a whole bunch because it means I run more tournaments, which means more content for you all. So do check that out. That is patreon.com/WardiTV. If you watch on YouTube, it's in the description. If you're watching on Twitch, it's !Patreon. Yeah, give it a little look. Just like to slot that one in at the start of a game that isn't looking too redonkulous, although there is a gas pool open. And again, is Dark going to do this Dark thing where he's like, you know what, can I just get away with building roaches every single game? The thing is, Dark is very good at mind games too, so he might start a gas pool a few times in a row now, and that will obviously have to go in for a roach attack already. Now Kyo's got to really respect the possibility of a roach attack, even if Dark just said, you know, just for example, say goes Ling speed and then transitions away, you know, and doesn't really make much use of a gas pool hatch and just gets a faster Ling speed or so. As the SCV comes out down the bottom left-hand side, Reaper is going to be finishing the second Reaper, a Marine now in production, as we do have the Overlord heading up into the natural command center on the Nat coming in. Reaper sees the OV. He's going to be very safe here, Kira. He does SCV scout to know it's not a hatchery first, so you are aware of the possibility of these Lings coming across the map. Only 2 and splitting up like this is not really a big issue. It's when there's 6 Lings made and they try and run around the map that's more of a problem, but you don't know what that is as Kira. So yeah, he's got to respect this. He's leaving the Reaper at home, does not want to delay on the CC, as this time from Dark it is just Ling speed. Still mining a bit of gas here. We'll see what he maybe goes into soon. Could go into a very quick lair once again if he maybe wants to try a 2-base middleless build or something along those lines. Still some possibilities, as we do have our Overlords continuing to move around. Yeah, just gonna see this command center finishing up on the natural expansion. A couple of extra queens still on the way in. I'm just gonna be seeing our 5 extra drones from Dark in the production on this main base. Again, the 5 extra drones up. The Reaper continues down the bottom left side. And again, all these Marines coming out. This tech lab is building on the factory. Starport's on the way in. A couple of Lings from Dark come straight through to say what's up in the natural expansion. Answer, not really much right now. Yeah, a couple of drones is going to be finishing. This Reaper from here comes out around the right side. Is going to make its way to the 3rd base, where, again, a couple of Lings will continue to give chase. This couple of Lings continuing through. They get bopped. And again, just going to be seeing a couple of Hellions still in production. This Reaper is going to go down. There is Ling speed, right? So he has the confirmation the 3rd is on the way through. As Cure has... This time he didn't go into like the ultra kind of anti, you know, anti kind of roach defense. He does have a barracks on a tech level, which I was going to say maybe he was thinking about Marauder or two, but now he doesn't seem to think that's the case. He's going to move off of it. A Liberator to start. Generally, this could have been like Hellion Liberator into like a fast stim or so, but with this extra tech lab, it feels like this Liberator is going to go to a tech lab. And then maybe it looks like maybe stim alongside... Did he do something really fun like a Raven here? He has the gas for it. Does he start up stim right away as well? Is this barracks just building add-ons for the fun of it? Does the starport take a tech lab? He could also maybe... He cloaked Banshees behind the Liberator. It's a lot of starport units. Very risky in case there was like a fast Spire on the way. He could just start stim here. Factory goes to the tech lab, and then he's got racks. Yeah. Okay, so it makes sense in the end. A bit different. Usually the factory can move to the side and build its own tech lab. Starport's going to build an extra reactor. Racks will build nearby. As this Liberator is going to finish off this Overlord. Definitely an interesting way to get started, actually. As these Hellions still coming through. A couple creep tumors up at the front. Just going to be seeing the extra racks still coming in. Yeah, okay, well, melee upgrades from Doc, so you just opt for melee and upgrades just in general before the lair. Again, that's always something to keep in mind here is, and he's just settling down on 3 bases. He will actually have quite a nice 1-1 timing over Cure, so if Doc can maybe find some times to fight at that sort of stage of the game, that would be fantastic. Of course, I don't know if he will find those opportunities, because I imagine Cure will sit back until medevacs are kind of done, right? Until he can drop on the map. You know, maybe he'll generally that's around when Cure's 1-1 is done as well. Maybe with the medevacs he'll come out and drop a little bit, but then you're not really able to take fights. Then you run into a fight as Doc, and Cure lifts up and gets the hell out of there and says, "No, thank you. I'll see you later." This Liberator sieges up. The Queen gets pushed away. Another Queen to the right side. Our Hellions of Cure moving through the middle of the map and going to continue down. I like the pressure he's been able to put on here so far. She gets a double Queen kill on the Liberator. That's something you don't see every day. Now getting some drones as well. Hey, that's Doc being caught a little bit off guard. 1-1 is on the way up. As we're just going to be seeing the lair is going to be finishing in just a few moments' time. The hatchery building through. Drones going to transfer across. And again, a couple of these creep tumors being picked away at. Just going to see our medevac still building as the siege tank going to finish up on the factory. Well, there's the 1-1 upgrades. I mean, the thing is with the melee upgrades, though, bailing speed is already delayed. And right now, it wasn't starting for a little while there. I was getting a little scared. It's a little scared that we weren't going to see it. But he starts it now. That's still going to be 1-1 of the Terran player versus no bailing speed. No combat shield, though. And that's maybe something we could look at as making this push of Cure more difficult to execute, as he is up kind of a lot of army supply coming across this map. Can Doc find the fight? Right now, he doesn't even morph any banelings. And that's definitely problematic when there's a lot of Hellions still in this army. Those lings are not going to last very long at all. I don't like this at all from Doc. I feel like this is not the fight you want to take. He rushes into it. He doesn't try to morph Banes in the slightest, and that just does not feel like the fight we're looking for here, as now Queens are going to be chased down. The thing is, you weren't even morphing Banes behind this, so there's nothing to actually stop these Marines, apart from more Zerglings, which we know aren't really going to get the job done. I could understand maybe jumping in with the upgrade lead, but it really felt like a fight off creep that was unnecessary. The tanks weren't in range of this hatchery, and it felt like it was only going to get better with Banelings on the way. Nah. Obviously, again, easy for us to say as the spectators that maybe Doc shouldn't take this fight, but it's... I do find that questionable from the start of kind of deciding to jump in on it. Just the fact he didn't morph any Banes. And he had gas in the bank for sure. He definitely had a way to deal with this. I mean, he's got 2-2 on the way. Can Doc maybe survive here, get the 2-2 advantage and start to swarm with Ling Bane? That's going to have to be the goal because there's no lair tech up. He starts an infestation pit, so he's trying to go for that Ling Bane into very fast hive, very fast ultras to support the Ling Bane by bypassing the, you can do that because you bypass the Hydras and the Mutalisks. Now this hatchery is so low. Now would be the sort of time where I'm like, oh, maybe you do have to jump on this, because if this army gets into position for a moment, you lose the hatchery. Then counterattack, well, that's an open third base, so there's definitely potential there. Good idea from Doc. And maybe the one way he can start to get some damage done and getting back into this game. Flood straight on through, SCVs will be in trouble. SCV's going down. This army from Kira still moving down the bottom side. 7 workers killed across the map, but, well, let's see what these Balins can do. They need to work wonders right now. This is almost like a pure Queen defense. 9 minutes into the game as the counterattack across the map is being pushed back. There's 5, 4 Balins remaining to make that one. Not enough splash damage. Doesn't connect on the Marines. And now the Marines obviously just turn into this fight, and they will just clean everything else up. Not enough splash damage, and Cure will take this to a game number 6, where he will not be behind on match with his opponent on match point. He will get game 5 to take it to a 2-3 scoreline. So I just want to say, just before we switch games here, that we might cut this. If this is a YouTube video, guys, this video might cut out now. Kind of depends how long and how many remaining games there are. Like, if there's only 2 more games and Dark ends up winning like 5-2, then we probably just do this as one video. But this feels to me like the sort of time where we might cut it in case it does end up maybe going the distance, in case Cure gets a few maps back or something like that. So just in case this cuts out, this was part 1. Part 2 will be coming up most likely the day after this was uploaded. It's just a little heads up for you guys watching on YouTube. Again, if this video continues, then, well, maybe I spoiled it because then maybe Dog wins in 2 more games. Yikes, but yeah, I mean, it honestly just depends. I just want to mention it without cutting out of nowhere, basically. So there's a little bit of info.